Just as times are getting darker, so there is also a generation that is shining forth the light of Christ. That is your generation. You're being bombarded with a whole new level of darkness in the earth. And that's why God's impressing upon you to shine the light of Christ wherever you go. Brighter and brighter and brighter. And that's what happens. When darkness increases, light increases. When the enemy raises up darkness in the world, God raises up light. He raises up messengers of light, warriors of light, shining forth the light of the world, the light of Jesus to the world. Philippians 2:15, that you may be blameless and innocent, children of God, without blemish, in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world. That's your verse. Philippians 2:15. I want you to remember that verse. Philippians 2:15. I had a pretty interesting encounter where I had this prophetic vision where I was in a nightclub, and I was walking through the nightclub, and there was all these lights and the music was going, right? Everybody was dancing and drinking and having a good time. And I walked to the second level of this club, and I walked into the women's restroom. And I walk into this restroom, and there's this girl. She's probably 19 or 20 probably. And she's laying on the bathroom floor in a stall. And she's ODing from heroin. And she still has the needle in her arm. And she's breathing and she's going. See, when you OD, oftentimes it's hard to catch your breath. Your lungs become heavy. And you gasp for air. And she was gasping for air. And I heard her breathing, just breathing on the floor. Fading away. Her light was fading away. She was dying. And all of a sudden, the Lord was able to interpret her gasps for air. And she gasped 3 times. And then she died. In the last 3 gasps, it said this. This is what she was saying from her spirit. Where are they? And at that moment, when she died, a generation burst through the restroom door of young people. And they ran in there and they began to lay hands on her and speak in tongues and pray in tongues over her and declare life over her. And she went, and she came to life in the vision. This young man is crippled, and he's walking with this walker, basically. And his wheels are squeaking really loud. It's in the mall, right? So it's super loud. So everybody's looking at him. He's probably 14, 15 years old. And he was born that way. His legs were deformed. And he had a friend walking with him. And I remember looking at him and being like, man, that's got to be so embarrassing to draw attention to yourself like that. When I'm sure the last thing you want is eyes all over the mall staring at you. And then I began to hear in the spirit, every squeak of that wheel said, where are they? Each one of these situations is a Goliath that's out there that is mocking our God. And there's times that the enemy parades around right in front of us with sickness and depravity and brokenness and says, look, where's your God now? And that's when a generation just like David, who loves God, and because they love God, stand up and say, no. But your generation, you have to break the mold. And there's people in church leadership and in churches that might look at you and say, you don't fit the model of greatness. But God is using your generation to break that model and to cast a whole new mold that will be broken by another generation. But I don't want to hold you to a previous understanding of greatness. Will you allow other generations to break the mold? Will you allow yourself to break the mold? You will walk in more authority in your giftings and in your callings when you walk in the uniqueness of who you are. Embrace who you are. God doesn't want you to be like him. He doesn't want you to prophesy like you. You prophesy like you. You be yourself. Be yourselves. David embraced who he was. But you have to believe who you are. Can you believe? Do you dare to believe? I love you guys. I hope that your generation, that you guys in this room, will have boldness to keep running, to keep believing that you're chosen, to keep believing that you're favored, highly favored from God and loved.